Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Now at this point we have talked about while loop, for loop and loop control statements, and in this video I will solve some pattern questions. Normally if you are in college or if you are learning programming, this is important because it will improve your logics in programming. Programming is all about solving a problem, right? So you have to understand the problem statement and then you have to put that in code. This is our first pattern question. In this problem, I have to print a rectangle using stars. So it will have rows and columns. So I will take the number of rows and columns from user. Here I have 4 rows and 5 columns. And you can see that in each row I have 5 stars. Let's see how to code this. First I will take input from user for number of rows. Rows equals to int input number of rows. Next, I will take input from user for number of columns. Columns equals to int input number of columns. That's it. After this, I will print 1 star for each row. For this, we can either use while loop or for loop. Here, I will use for loop. You can also use while loop. So I will write for I in range. Here, I will write number of rows. That's it. And in each row, I want to print a star and a space. Execute it. Here I will enter I want 5 rows and 4 columns, and here you can see that I got 1 star in each row. After this I have to print stars in each column. So for this I will use a nested for loop. So first I will remove this. I will write for j in range columns, and in each column I will print a star and I will end with a space. Otherwise each star will print in a new line, so I will end with a space. After this nested loop, I will print a new line. That's it. Execute it. Here I will write 5 rows and 4 columns, and we got the output. Next we have hollow rectangle pattern. Let's understand this problem. Here you can see that I have stars at first row, first column and last column. And this is not empty actually. Here we are printing some blank spaces. To draw this pattern, I will print star for first or last row or for first or last column. Otherwise, I will print blank spaces. Let's code this. First, I will take input from user for rows and columns. After this, I will write a for loop for I in range. Here, I will start from 1 and I will end it at rows plus 1. The reason behind is that here I have to check whether it is the first row or the last row. That's why I want to start from 1 to the number of rows. After this, I will write an inner loop for the number of columns. I will write for j in range. Again, I will start from 1 and I will go to last column. That's it. So here I will write a condition whether it is first or last row or first or last column. So if I is double equals to 1 or I is double equals to rows or j double equals to 1 for first column or j is double equals to columns for last column. So if the condition evaluates to true, I will print a star here and I will end with a space. But if this condition evaluates to false, I will print a space. And also I will end with a space. And after completing this nested loop, I will print a new line. Execute it. First, I will give a number of rows, the number of columns, and here we got the output. Now let's change this space to an underscore here to understand it better. So first I will give 5 and 4. And here you can see that if it is not the first or last row or first or last column, I'm printing an underscore here. Otherwise, I'm printing a star. Now we will see how to print half pyramid of stars. So first I will take input from user. In this case the input is 4. So basically this input is the number of rows I have to print. So if you observe this pattern, you can see that in the first row I have 1 star, in the second row I have 2 stars, in the third row I have 3 stars, and in the fourth row I have 4 stars. That means for each row the number of stars will be equal to the row number. Now let's see how to code this. First I will take input from user for the number of rows. After this I will write a for loop for I in range 1. I will go from 1 to the rows plus 1. Now to print the number of stars in each row, I have to write a loop. So what will be the range of the nested loop? We have observed that for each row, the number of stars is equal to that row number. So I will write for j in range. Start from 1 and go till that row number, that is I plus 1. After this, I will print a star and end with a space. That's it. And after completing this nested loop, I will just print a new line. Execute it. I want 5 rows here. And here we got the output. Now we will see how to print half pyramid of numbers. So this question is similar to last question, but instead of printing stars, here I am printing the number of row. That means for the first row I am printing the row number, for the second row I am printing row number 2, for third row I am printing row number 3, and for the fourth row I am printing row number 4. Let's see how to code this. Now to print the pyramid of numbers, I will remove this star and here I will write that row number, that is I here. Just execute it. Here I want 5 rows and here we got the output. Next we have Floyd's triangle. This question is also similar to the last question we did, but instead of printing the row number, here we are printing the number from 1. So to print this Floyd's triangle, first I will initialize a counter and I will assign 1 to it, and after printing the value, I will just increment the value of that counter. Let's see how to code this. To print Floyd's triangle, I have to first initialize a counter here. So I will write counter equals to 1, and instead of I will print a counter here, and after printing I will just increment the value by 1. So counter plus equals to 1. That's it. Execute it. I want 5 rows. And here we got the Floyd's triangle, that is values from 1 to 15. Execute it again. And this time I want 7 rows. And this time I got values from 1 to 28. Next we have inverted half pyramid of stars. So first I will take input from user. Basically this input is the number of rows I have to print. In this case the input is 4. Now to print this I have to print 4 stars in the first row, 3 stars in the second row, 2 stars in the third row, and 1 star at last row. So here I will start my loop from the row number and I will end at 1. Let's see how to code this. First I will take input from user for number of rows. After this I will write a for loop for I in range, and here I will start from row and I will end at 0. Remember 0 will not be included here, and here I will also mention step size. In this case I will write -1. After this I will write a nested loop for j in range. So here I will write I. Why? Because here I want for each row the number of star equals to that row number. So and then I will just print a star and I will also end with a space. That's it. And after completing this nested loop, I will just print a new line, execute it. Here I will give 5. And here we got inverted half pyramid of stars. And at last we have inverted half pyramid of numbers. This question is similar to the last question, but instead of printing stars, here I will print row number. Now let's see how to code this. Now to print inverted half pyramid of numbers, I will just remove this star and here I will write row number, that is I. Execute it. Here I will write 5, and we got inverted pyramid of numbers. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys learned something new. Here I have used for loop, and I highly recommend you guys to try these codes using while loop. In the next video, we will see some advanced pattern questions.